Walkabout Mini Golf is one of the most satisfying and fun VR sports games you can play. While it's easy to get started, if you want to get better and compete with the best, you're going to need some tips to improve your game. This video is going to share my best tips and tricks to improve at the game and shoot lower scores. Let's get started with the basics. Grip, stance and swing. Walkabout Mini Golf provides a fantastic simulation of real-world putting, so most of the techniques that you need to play in real life carry over to the game. Getting the basics right is really important if you want to hit good shots. Walkabout Mini Golf is played with one controller, so pick your dominant hand and leave the other controller to the side. Although you only use one controller, don't be tempted to only use one hand to play. You'll need both hands to ensure you keep the controller steady and produce controlled, consistent shots. Unfortunately, you can't hold a VR controller the same way as a real putter, so you'll have to improvise. Hold the controller naturally with your dominant hand and use your other hand to stabilize the position and immobilize your wrist. I like to interlock my left index finger with my right baby finger so that my left hand wraps around the base of my right hand and my right wrist. If you want to take things a step further, you can buy a golf club controller attachment that your controller fits onto, which will allow you to grip a real golf club handle and give you a lot more control. Stance. To ensure you hit consistent swings, you should stand at 90 degrees to the target, with your feet shoulder width apart. Bend your knees slightly and lean ever so slightly forward so that your weight is over the front of your feet and your head is directly over the ball. This provides a solid base, reducing body sway, and allows you to judge the line of the ball much more accurately. The swing. Your swing should be simple, smooth and consistent. Keep your arms and wrists straight, and imagine your club is a pendulum moving back and forth smoothly. Don't use any wrist motion to flick the ball, as this will make your swing very inconsistent, and don't try to push the ball either. Although you should generally be trying to bring the club head straight back and forward, creating a slight arc with your swing is natural and perfectly acceptable. You can adjust the power of your shots by increasing or decreasing your backswing. Practice swing. Having a practice swing is a good way to calibrate your swing before your shot, allowing you to gauge the power and line that are required. After you press the trigger button to position yourself in front of the ball, you can either take a step back to do a practice swing, or you can make use of the grip to putt feature. The grip to putt feature means that although you can see your putter head at all times, it only becomes a solid putter capable of hitting the ball when you press the grip button. This allows you to stand over your ball and try hitting a practice swing right through your ball and along the actual line of the shot, which is a really convenient way to practice your shots. Now that you know the basics of how to swing your club, this next section is where the gold is. These tips will really help you improve your game and lower your scores. Practice mode. One of the best ways to get better at Walkabout Mini Golf quickly is to spend most of your time in practice mode. You can choose this option whenever you select to play any course to play. It enables you to play any hole you want and redo any shot you like, simply by pressing back on the right thumbstick after any shot. This is a great way to practice the same shot repeatedly to master the power and angle required to hit it perfectly. I've used this extensively to help me find the best technique for playing each hole, as it allows you to experiment with unusual shot choices and angles. I've recently been trying to get a hole-in-one on every hole on the easy courses. While some of the holes look almost impossible, there's usually a way to hit the perfect shot with a combination of skill and luck, and practice mode is the way to find the perfect shot for each scenario. Think creatively. The only thing that matters is getting the ball in the hole. How you get there doesn't matter. Bouncing the ball off scenery and taking creative routes to the hole that don't strictly follow the original design of the hole are perfectly okay, and it's half the fun of the game. Once I start hitting a plateau in my scores for each course, I normally start searching harder for more creative shots that can save me a shot or two and improve my score. Balance risk and safety. By playing safely, you should be able to birdie most holes, and you can post impressively low scores, particularly in easy mode. However, once you hit a wall with your scores, you're going to have to start taking some risks to shoot a really low score. The downside of taking big risks with your shots, like trying to bounce the ball off a small target or thread the needle with your shot, is that if you miss, you can mess up your score for that hole and even for your round. You'll have to make a judgment on how risky you want to play. Bear in mind that the very lowest scores on each of the courses will have been achieved by players who combine a lot of skill with risky shots that have fortunately worked out. One of the best ways to determine the difficulty of each shot is to play the course in practice mode and try some of the more adventurous shots to see how reliably you can pull them off. If you can practice and perfect a tricky shot that lowers your score on a hole, you can incorporate it into a proper round. This one might sound obvious, but you need to practice, practice, practice. There's a very true maxim that the best players in any sport have hit more bad shots than an amateur has hit shots. The point is that you need to practice a lot to get good at anything, and that bad shots are an inevitable part of the learning process. The good news is that there is a long and gentle learning curve, so you should be able to see consistent progress and improvement in your scores without getting frustrated. Move around the hole to see where to hit your shots. Teleporting or flying around the hole in Walkabout Mini Golf to get a good look at your shot options from another angle is really important if you want to shoot a low score. You're highly likely to learn more about the hole by teleporting around, and there is a chance you may see a potential shot that wasn't visible from the start of the hole. This is particularly important the first few times you play each hole until you work out the best shot to take from any position. There are many holes where you can't see where the ball will end up from where you are hitting, so it is essential to either teleport to where you are planning to hit or fly above the hole to look down and survey your options. Avoid tensing on impact. Hitting good shots in Walkabout Mini Golf relies on you having a smooth and consistent backswing and follow-through. Stay relaxed throughout your swing and avoid tensing on impact, as is so easy to do when you're trying hard to hit a good shot, particularly when you're striving for a low score. Don't grip the club too hard, keep your shoulders and arms relaxed, and let the club swing gently through the ball. I guarantee that if you make a real effort to be as relaxed as possible, putts will start dropping and your game will improve. Ball spin in Walkabout Mini Golf. The only way to generate spin on the ball in Walkabout Mini Golf is by letting it roll along surfaces and bounce off objects. You can't generate side spin by hitting across the ball, and it's impossible to generate extra top spin or backspin by altering how you hit the ball. This is probably the one aspect of Walkabout Mini Golf that deviates from real-world ball physics, but it has minimal impact on gameplay. It's just worth bearing in mind that all you need to focus on is power and direction to get the ball to go where you want it to. Line up your shot. On longer putts, step back behind the ball and visualize your line before stepping up to address the ball. I sometimes like to step back a few feet and then hold my club up to draw a virtual line between the ball and the hole. This helps you to pick a line to hit along, and you may notice features of the hole that will also help you to line up your shot. Club face angle. Whilst you may have picked the perfect line for your shot and be good at judging power, if you haven't got the club face lined up perfectly perpendicular to where you're aiming, your shot will veer off target. As you address the ball, make it part of your routine to ensure that the club face is perfectly positioned to hit the ball along your intended line. I found this makes a big difference to my accuracy, as when I forget, even though I've lined up the shot well, positioned my feet perfectly, kept my body still and swung the club smoothly, if my club face angle is a little off, it'll make a big difference to my accuracy. Balance power and precision. Whilst it can be tempting to hit the ball harder than you need to, this usually comes at the expense of accuracy, particularly for shots that involve bouncing off multiple walls or ones where you're aiming for a very small target. The best approach is usually to put no more power in your shots than is necessary to get to your destination, as this maximizes accuracy. I know in my case that anytime I try to hit the ball excessively hard, it ends up way off target or out of bounds. Develop a shot routine. Establish a routine to follow for every shot. Focusing on the routine rather than the significance of an upcoming putt can help reduce pressure and improve performance. It's perfectly natural to feel a bit tense when you have a putt to break your course record, so reducing the amount you think about the significance of the shot is a great way to ensure you produce a good shot at these crucial points in your round. It doesn't hugely matter what routine you use to set up for each shot, but it really does help maintain consistency, and my scores have definitely improved since I've started following a consistent routine. Never leave your putts short. While you don't want to use excessive power in your shots, it's really important not to leave your putts short when you're trying to put the ball in the hole. As in real golf, you always want to give the ball an opportunity to go into the hole, and if you leave your putt a foot short, it's never going to go in. It's almost always better to go a foot past the hole than leave it short, as there is always a chance that the hole gets in the way of your shot, even if you're hitting a very long and low probability shot. Angles of spin. When your ball hits an object and changes direction in walkabout mini golf, such as when it bounces off a wall at an angle, it initially loses traction with the surface it's rolling on, causing the ball to bounce off the object as if there were no friction or spin involved. After a short distance, the ball regains traction with the surface, causing it to kick slightly in the direction of the spin that was on the ball before it hit the object. This can result in you miscalculating the angle required for each shot unless you take the effect of the spin into consideration. Game settings to improve your putting. Once you've got the basics of how to consistently hit good shots in walkabout mini golf, there's a few in-game settings that can make the game feel more authentic and easier to hit accurate shots. Putter strength. You can adjust the relative strength of your shots in the settings menu by using the strength adjustment setting. A lower setting means that you have to swing harder to make the ball go far, whereas a high setting means relatively little power is needed to make the ball go far and fast. Ideally, you should aim to make the ball go as far as it would in real life. Your brain is already pretty good at estimating how hard you need to swing to make a golf ball move a certain distance, so it's best to work with your natural senses rather than confuse them by making the swing power significantly different from real life. Putter angle. A correct putter angle is essential for hitting the ball accurately. Adjust this setting until the virtual hand and club in the game align with where your real hand is. You'll find it much easier to hit good shots if your virtual hands are aligned with your real hands. Lock ball position. This feature allows you to establish a consistent playing area. When turned on, this means that you play the ball from the same location within your real-life room. It means that you're not going to worry about drifting towards the edge of your playing area or hitting any of the furniture in your room when you swing your club. Anything that minimizes distractions from your physical surroundings is likely to improve your focus and therefore your game. I've spent countless hours playing walkabout mini golf, and it's still one of my favourite games to play in VR. It's really satisfying to see slow, steady improvement in my game and getting lower scores week after week. I'm far from being the best player out there, but I do really enjoy this game. I hope these tips will help you enjoy your game better and also shoot lower scores. Thanks very much for watching, guys. It's been a pleasure as always.